We back in the building, you know what I mean? And our guest has arrived.
Sir.
Who we got in the building, man? Introduce yourself.
What's up, world? This is Paul Jackson, a.k.a. S. Frosty, for most folks who may know me by that name. Yeah.
That's what's up. I got to ask you right off the bat, where you get the Frosty part from? And did you used to be known as DJ Frosty?
DJ, it's funny because I'll answer the first question first.
All right.
It's like the fourth time in the past week that I got this question. It's the first time I'm actually saying this on like a big public forum.
All right, cool.
It's a silly story, though. It's silly as hell. When I was in middle school, I had a teacher. She would let us play video games in the back of the class, like in the late summer months.
Okay.
And, it was this game you had to put a name in. I forget the game. And I went outside for recess, came back in, I had ice cream on my hand. And I went to middle school in like the really beat up area, Southwest.
Uh-huh.
So we had this torn down, nameless ice cream truck. We called it Mr. Frosty, like Mr. Softy, but broke.
Oh, why?
So I had ice cream in my hand. So my friends started calling me Mr. Frosty. When I got to high school, the name had stuck already. Everybody was calling me Mr. Frosty or Frosty. I started studying Spanish. I started tutoring folks in Spanish.
Right.
So they started calling me Senor Frosty. Then I started doing poetry as a late teenager. I wanted to sound smoother. So instead of calling it Senor Frosty, I started calling myself S. Frosty. And it stuck too. It was just silly stuff that ended up sticking.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a brand. So
that's a whole little story right there. That's what's up.
It's silly, but it's the truth.
Now tell us about DJ Frosty.
Oh yeah, when I was like 08 or 09, it was me and this is a weird relation. Me and my ex sister's fiance.
Okay.
Well, we was DJing together around South Philly and whatnot, so I became DJ S. Frosty. I got a lot more knowledge about that.
Hold on real quick. You said your ex-sisters or your sister's
my sister's ex-fiance.
All right, cool. Because I was like, how you do that?
Yeah,
all right, but go ahead.
We was basically, we were DJing around South Philly, and because I was already doing poetry under S. Frosty and doing other things, hosting shows and whatnot, I just put myself down as DJ S. Frosty. So I got to know a lot more about the parties and promoting and stuff by being a DJ for about 2 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that name, like, people still...
I constantly get confused with these two people. DJ Frosty, who's the other cool dude, plays around Northern Liberties and stuff a whole lot. And this other DJ in the city who spelled Frosty with 2 E's. I get asked a lot. Aren't you DJ Frosty? I'd be like, no. But like, you know,
all right.
I'm going to work with him one day maybe.
It's like an Ice-T, Ice Cube type thing.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, that's what's up. And I see you came prepared with some things, but basically, is that describing who you are, or you want to go ahead and give us that?
It's just a handful of talking points as we go along. Just a few things that are coming up and some things I involve myself in.
All right. Well, before we get into that, then go ahead and just let people know. You already gave us a little bit, you know, about the events and all that, but just let people know who you are right now, what you do.
Well, 24 years old, been a host, promoter, and event producer for years now, since I was 17. More professionalized, of course, nowadays. But community activist, and in that sense, vague term people usually use. But in that sense, I do youth advocacy. I build events, projects, and programs around youth and their talent, their creativity, and their arts. I'm always putting them out there, mentoring them. Sometimes they mentor me. Outside the youth and community and art sector, I do just straight up hip hop and rock shows to entertain people, to bring some creative, usually positive people towards.
That's coordinating these shows, or you like DJing?
No, I don't DJ anymore.
Okay.
I host shows, but I also produce them. I also plan them. I don't DJ anymore though. I toy around on friends' equipment, but I don't DJ anymore.
All right.
You know, and overall, I'm a social entrepreneur, meaning that all the things that I put forth from my businesses and enterprises tend to have a social impact, usually something positive for the community. And an event specialist, meaning that I do audio visual technical stuff, host shows, produce them, whatever deals in events. I have some kind of experience in it. I try to put that under my umbrella.
That's what's up. Yeah. You got any questions?
Not yet. I want to hear more. Like that was it, or you?
What am I? I'm an arts and culture nut. Like, I love to just like randomly go to places in the city and see who's doing what. Find out about new artists, new movements. And as people know what I always do, if somebody is doing something positive and I find out about it, I'm bound to shout it out. If, you know, it's something I like. So I like to take my personal taste and make them have an impact upon people. You know.
All right, that's what's up. I got a question. What made you stop DJing? Like, you say you just don't.
Technically, it was because the person who had the equipment became unassociated with my relative. Therefore, I didn't have the equipment, and I didn't have the money at the time to get more equipment. But I had learned so much about the promotions and party stuff. I coupled it with my youth activities like poetry and whatnot and shows. I ended up just going down the coordinator role. hosting and planning shows as opposed to DJing.
Is that so? That's more your passion. Then, like, do you have a passion for DJing?
I mean, I have a passion for like actually like getting down the equipment. Not as much anymore, but like I'm definitely more a person who's just I'm passionate about connecting people who are creative to the resources they need, and just like being around and making and giving a pedestal to people who are creative. If you're an artist, if you do something, I like giving people who are creative that pedestal, especially in Philly where it's hard sometimes.
All right, what is it about your background that led you to this completely different path than the average youth that's right now probably playing Xbox or something like that? Like what was it that your parents did, or what did you discover as you was coming up? What type of books did you read that led you down this path?
It's a good question, and I was just talking about this we did this youth event on Wednesday. I was just talking about this and I went to visit a school last Friday to talk about the youth about the same thing. Overall, I would say it's like I had like I'm gonna call it luck. Because I grew up deep in the hood, I seen the same things that everybody else seen, some maybe worse, maybe better. But I just randomly ended up dealing with things like the Rotunda and like a bunch of different youth programs in and out of Southwest and West Philly. I put myself out there. I was involved in a lot of stupid stuff when I was young as a teenager, and I just, bad friend groups, bad activities, the whole range of stuff. And it's ended up one day at some youth programs seeing people my age I'd never seen do things that were considered positive to me that I didn't think that my age was doing. Not just like drawing a picture of the program, but actually creating programs. And I was like, yo, I really felt myself to be like a youth who was like, even when I was a youth, I felt myself to be a kid who was like, oh, this dumb stuff ain't what I want to do, but it's around, and like people a few years older than me are doing it, so it felt like the thing to do.
Right.
Then I started seeing folks who were way more positive. A prime example is this, and I always shout them out, was PYPM, the Philly Youth Poetry Movement. When I was about 18 or 19, one of my younger friends, I already graduated high school, of course. One of my younger friends who was graduating high school, told me to come down to this program at the Rotunda, Philly Youth Poetry Night, and I met like all these people down there, poets and writers, all my age, around my age. And from that day on, it was like new groups of friends, new activities. Art just took me, Yeah.
That's what's up.
And that's good because, you said you're from Southwest.
Yeah, originally, yeah. Well, actually, originally from West, grew up mostly in Southwest. Yeah.
So you don't hear that too much. How you're a young guy and how positive you are and how you incorporate that into things you're doing as far as helping the youth and mentoring and stuff like that. You don't hear that too much at all. From somebody from the deep hood. Usually the hood swallows them. Yeah, true, and. That's good that you dodged that. But how do you mentor? How do you talk to these guys that are in trouble, and how do you keep them out of trouble or into these programs like that?
Yeah, at least not as much as anymore, but at least maybe once every 2 weeks, sometimes every week. I'm either dealing with like either one or two like younger cats, usually like young males who are like between 16 and 19, who, if they're wayward or not, I'm always like bringing them along. They can see how I'm networking. They can see how and why I'm networking. They can see me going around to other youth, other programs. They can see what I'm doing. I mean, just a quick sidebar. Being 25 years old now, looking back over the last few years, I see myself as an example of how you can go from, like a negative environment.
Yeah.
Have your family structure be good, but still come from a negative environment and come out of that. And just have something, a positive outlet, because I say all the time as an advocate for the youth, it's like I won't say there are no bad kids. I don't want to get into that argument because a lot of people got a lot of counter arguments. But when I say there are no bad kids, I mean that when kids go bad, it's because they usually weren't given the outlets to do something positive. But like the youngsters who come around me, the youngsters, I basically just let them see what I do. If I'm planning the show, I'm usually going to have like a youth on purpose around me while I'm planning, even while I'm writing the idea down, while I'm booking the artist, while I'm talking to the person about the equipment, while I'm setting the equipment up. I want them to see how, I call it easy hard, because I want them to see that there's a process, there's things that got to be done behind the flashiness of a show or the flashiness of a program, and that there is an ease and that there's a method, but it's hard because it takes labor, but it's not impossible. So I call it easy hard, so it's easy hard.
What's the age range of the youth that you do work with and like you'll bring with you?
I'll put it like this: it can be 12 to 20. Because to me, youth into a lot of programs, youth is like like the main youth is like 10 to 20. But usually, I'm gonna say, probably like 15 to 19. Yeah, around that age.
And basically, are they very receptive? Like, do you always get like that you always see that gleam in their eye, like, wow, this is cool. Like, basically, what happened to you, is that what you see happening to them?
Yeah, definitely. Especially when I meet the kids who have, like, not yet been exposed to a program or any kind of, like, per se positive older person or something like that.
Right.
They do have that thing you said, that gleam in the eye. They definitely had that, because after a couple minutes of talking about the technical stuff, then they see what really goes on backstage of the show or how you plan a program or an event. They get that gleam, and it's two kinds of gleam. One is like, wow, this is like really what happens. I'm actually here doing something in the show. And two is like, oh, this isn't as inaccessible as I thought it was. I can actually do this one day, you know. So
it's possible.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt when I was a teenager. Yeah.
That's what's up, and that's like the easy hard, like you said. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that phrase too.
Yeah.
I got some more. I got some more.
Copyright 2013. That's for us. There.
All right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the grown men or the grown man that lives a second childhood, that never grows up, never gets their priority in perspective? How do you feel about that type of person? There's a lot of them out here.
Yeah, I will say this: any person who's doing anything that society or individual might see as wrong, I don't off the back see as wrong. I see that any person, whether they're 8 years old or 80 years old, they're still just misled. So as long as that person is happy with what they're doing and ain't harming nobody, that's cool. But like if they're doing something that's a detriment to someone else, like they're being like a burden upon someone else, or a pain or violent or something like that, that's different. But like, you know, being a man child, I put it that way, is something. It opens an opportunity for the people who see that person being a man child to not just be judges, but if they judge that person to be something that's negative to them, they should step in and try to assist that person, especially if they're related to them or that person in their community. Like what should a person do with a man child is a better idea to me than like, is a person a man child? Like what should we as a community do with that person, or how can we do something? Should we, you know, as opposed to just looking at them like black sheep. You know,
Sure.
Now, could this detriment to society be considered? Let's just say somebody who's in a role model type of league, like where they're in a position to be looked up to, but they're doing stuff that, like you said, could be looked at as negative. And you said as long as they're not harming anybody, and I guess technically their argument could be, well, I'm not harming nobody, I'm not telling nobody to do it, but if they're looked at, you know, you get what I'm saying, like how some of these celebrities, if you will, are looked at. Would you consider that being part of the detriment? Like, is it a responsibility to conduct yourself a certain way when you got, you know, people looking up to you? Yeah,
I'm gonna say, being a marketer and being a person in the community, it's like two sides to this. Not conflicting arguments, but it's two sides to this. Okay. Well, at least two sides to this. I think I always have more than two sides. One side is kind of like, I like that question too. One side is kind of like, you might have like a foolish rapper or a foolish actor or something like that who only plays Kuna Sambo roles, and those are just words I use because they words and have definitions. But like a person who is like who always plays a role of like a non-productive, kind of like socially detrimental or violent black guy or something like that, or a person who makes songs about that kind of stuff, and you like, okay, so I would suppose that kind of person, like popping a Molly, I'm sweating. I mean, yeah, there you go. like, am I like ideal utopian world? That kind of stuff wouldn't exist, but at the same time, the kind of stuff that the marketers who really control, I mean, that person is not their own person. And once they're national, their marketers see a reflection of something that they can reflect back in society. It's like chicken and egg. It's an ongoing paradox. It's like the rapper's marketer or the rapper himself might say, I'm just reflecting what I see in the streets. And he's right. And then the streets might say, oh, you're not reflecting us. That ain't here. But then you look in the streets and you see it. So the question becomes, what can we on our low level do here, let's say in Philadelphia, to stem the kind of people that are the basis that make that image? Like if you got like a grown man making songs about, you know, smacking hoes and like, you know, eating diamonds or whatever you want to do in the club or something like that, you know, whatever dumb song come out, Trinidad James, whatever dumb song come out, like the question becomes, what can we do, especially as us young black men here, what can we do to talk to brothers our age and under us, around us, so that there is no demographic to buy this music. What can be? That's the question right there. I ask that question a lot. So what can be done exactly? I think that there's a lot of people on the right path in this city and beyond who are creating a good enough example to counterbalance the things that these youth are going to see as they come up. Like sometimes, I even go as far as to tell people, like, besides joining an organization or becoming a teacher, just grab the one dumb young boy on your block who won't stop doing stupid stuff and talk to him instead of just hitting them, or if you his parents or his, you know, sometimes the grandma on the block hit everybody. Instead of just like, you know, doing something crazy to the young boy or talking down to him, make him feel worse and do more dumb stuff, give him something to do. Like, take them to an art program, take them to a basketball game, show them you give a damn about them, and then blame society after.
Now
you blame
nobody
society.
ever thought of that. That's crazy.
That's true. But
Yeah, that's
what do you
crazy.
do to the grown man?
Oh, you're right. You did say grown man. Let me answer that question.
Does
Yeah, you did say
'cause
grown
I
man.
know a grown man that
Yeah.
just because somebody said Molly, they tried
Yeah,
it.
you be surprised.
You know what I'm
Yo,
saying? It was crazy.
I want to go ahead and answer that question because you did say grown man. My bad for overlooking the age.
No, it's okay.
Because you're right though. This is something that I'm actually relearning. I say relearning because I'm going to probably keep learning this. Is the power of community should never be underestimated. That word is oftentimes like mad downplayed. If you say the person's in their 20s and you know this person and enough to have a talk with them, like serious talk. It should be the responsibility of the community. That means you and like 5 friends who believe this person is doing something wrong to themselves and others or having a bad effect, sit that person down without making them feel like crap. Tell them how the effect is having on you, your heart, your life, and the people around them. Intervention, basically, yeah. It's like people underplay these things as soft or ineffective, but they never try them. It's like you'd be surprised because, I mean, I'm lucky right now to be in a big, not just a big network, but a big friend circle of men above and below my age and at my age level who I can just like talk to about all kind of stuff. Like, you know, and if somebody's having a problem, we just invite them out to whatever, and just like casually and just talk about stuff. It don't got to be particularly about them. Like sometimes people hate being targeted. Yeah. So it's just like, here's what you can do. Them people are just it's a reason why it's called man-child, because child psychology is a lot like adult psychology. Yeah. If that person's a man-child, then just all you do is you will approach them as you would a wayward child. Give them something to do, ask them and find out what they can do, what their skills are, their passions, and engage that. And you can even show them a way, if possible, to professionalize their passions. But, it just starts with, like, showing the person you give a damn about them and not just demonizing them. Because oftentimes our society is just full of demonizing people. Like, you're bad, you did this, but no solutions. Yeah. And we all got vices. Yeah. We all man-child in some way.
Well, I'm going to break it real quick. We're going to go ahead and play a song while I get things together, and we'll be right back. Yeah, and we're back. Next Level Show, we got Cassmeir.
Yeah.
We got Paul Frosty in the building.
What's up?
And of course your host, MC, aka Microphone Criminal. You know what I mean? So we're gonna kick this thing back off. We're gonna open these gates up once again. I wanna dive into right off the bat, parenting. You know what I mean? Like, I've actually had somebody come at my neck before, cause I always voice my thoughts on parenting, like to have 2 parents in the household. And, it takes for 2 parents to actually care, too, because there's a lot of parenting going on in the quote-unquote hood where, you can't even get them to go to a parent-teacher meeting or something like that, you know what I mean? And I went to the library recently. I support the public library. So I went to the library. I'm in there. You got kids wilding out. So as I'm leaving, the librarian, she says to me, she like, yeah, these kids' parents think that the library is a daycare. You know what I mean? So when the kids get out of school, basically they go straight to the library, ripping and running, doing whatever they do. And I'm pretty sure that they're instructed to go to the library, probably stay till about 5 o'clock or whatever. So is parenting a key? Like, before we even get to man-childs and before we even get to the point where kids are astray, is it or is it not true that that the foundation is parenting? Because if you got 2 parents that's working together, then the chances of you becoming astray or growing up to be a man-child shrinks. How you feel about that?
That's not. It's like I got so many different ways to answer that question. It's like I do agree, but I want to put some degrees on my agreement. Okay. There are people. I grew up in a 2-parent household, but I'm not going to like advocate that it needs to be that way. Because some people come out of a 1-parent household or a no-parent household if you don't count the grandparents as parents, but like as grandparents. Or however you want to put it. Some people don't come out of the normal 2-parent household. There are many types. They come out just fine. That's true. So I think it's just about what the quality of the parenting was. Because a lot of 2-parent households have abuse or an alcoholic mother or father. But like, I do agree that a strong family structure in general, however you see that, whether it's no mom, dad, or one mom, or just a mom or just a dad. But I definitely think that a strong home structure is something that is one of the roots of making a strong person who's not going to become wayward or follow the wrong example because they have a good example. You know,
right.
yeah.
So is it safe to say that you're basically like, are you saying that a 2-parent household isn't something that should be advocated for because it's possible to make it without a 2-parent household?
I think, no, I'll put it like this. I'm a very conditional person. I put it like this. I think the idea of a strong household, however that turns out to be, should be advocated for. And that I do believe that inside of a strong household idea, that of all the types of households in there, that the one that is the strongest to root for, if a person is to root for one particular kind of a household, would be a 2-parent household.
That's my right hand man right there.
I'm conditional because life is conditional.
I like what you said though.
Ideally, I mean, ideally, you know, if I was ideally, if I had my utopian, you know, my ideal view of America, it'd be 2-parent households. I don't care if that's like a mom and a dad, a mom and a mom, a dad and a dad. I don't care what you do with your life. The idea is like, as long as you have a structure, because, you know, 2-parent household, I believe, is if a person wants to advocate for a type of household, then that would be the one to advocate for in my book. But in general, strong household, whether you got one mom, one dad, or just grandma, your sister, you know. So,
ultimately, you definitely need a strong household. Of course, you know, best case scenario, 2-parent. Yeah. But like you said, like we both were saying, I think that just builds a stronger person. You know what I mean? Like that gives you a better chance out the starting gate to succeed.
But unfortunately, it's a lot of
talking to Mike.
It's a lot of wedlock.
Oh man, yeah.
It's a lot of wedlock. And, you know, I just was watching a video on YouTube. It was a fight in Southwest Philly or whatever. And, you know, you see this young mother with a baby. All the cussing is going on in the fight, and then the baby sees that. And most likely that baby is just growing up around that. That is not setting a solid foundation that, you know, they need or we need it.
And real quick, I would say that the parent who was doing all that cussing and carrying on was probably raised in an unstable environment. So it still goes back to that root of the not. Yeah.
Can I go generation at the generation?
Can I go bigger just to go smaller? Okay. So everything has a root. Even when you think you got to the root of something, it's another root. It's oftentimes the roots we don't want to go into are the ones we are culpable for. Like I said, I'm big on community. So I'm also big on African style culture, which is something we almost all practice as black folk. We don't always recognize the roots of it. Whether or not there's a strong 2-parent household or a no-parent household or a 1-parent household, it takes a village to, like, that's a cliche phrase. I really mean it though. It takes a village to raise a child. When you have a strong household, but the parents do not interact with their neighbors, with their community organizations, they're not part of anything, then the parent is raising the child one half, and the community and society is raising the child in the other half. So one thing that people often do is, like, we tend to blame the parent. Usually in the black community, it'll be one parent. We'll blame the mother usually. We're like, oh, that mother should have had got married and if she did and the kid still turned out bad, then what do we say next? We gotta blame ourselves too, because like I said earlier, if the one young boy on the block may have 2 parents who are very loving, but OG homie love him more, so therefore he may go. See, OG homie's part of the community.
Yeah, I understand that.
It's our job as a community to go, young boy, stop. Not, you know, so we are the parents too. We're secondary parents to every child we see.
You right. You open up a whole warehouse.
Every chicken egg paradox. Chicken egg paradox. Everything got a root. We're one of the reasons why there's so many us directly, even us personally. We're the reasons why these kids are doing this stuff that's bad.
All right, I agree with that. You know, I don't use the phrase. I get it. It takes a village to raise a child. I get it. I don't want to sound too communistic, if you will, or sound too much like a communist, because I don't want to go that route. But what I will say is, all right, you got your strong household, and then you got your community. There do need to be some sort of alliance there, or a definite alliance, because ultimately that's what works. Because the kid, when you send the kid out, you know, it might be 2 different people. You know what I mean? When I was a young boy and I was at home, I was one person. Yeah. And then when I go to school and hanging with the young boys, or doing whatever,
that's normal.
I was a different person. Yeah. So it's all about what the community will allow. So when you got people on the bus and you got these young people cursing and talking about how they smashing this and that person. We talking about little kids here, but you got adults sitting on the same bus right next to them.
Their secondary parents,
shaking their they just shaking their head, but they not stepping out.
But sometimes that's dangerous. Also,
it is dangerous.
But how they get there though?
Yeah, exactly.
Because of years of them not doing anything.
Exactly.
Us not doing anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
It got to be dangerous. It can get to be not dangerous.
That come from it not being that alliance.
So you get on the bus, you will say something about that? Because, matter of fact, I was in West Philly on the trolley, and it's a bunch of kids got on the bus, hype or whatever, because they was running from the cops or whatever. Cops cut off the trolley, but then they just pulled off. So guy just like, oh man, like people shouldn't say nothing to us. You got to have a gun against a bunch of young bulls, And I'm just sitting there, and the other dude like, yeah, I'm gonna start bringing my strap to school, and I'm like what, like where, how?
But
like,
that's already the disconnect
right there.
I want to answer that question for you too.
It's like what would you say anything in that situation?
I won't even go in the woods. I go in the wills and dudes. Okay, so I'm conditional. So if some young boy running the bus running from the cops, it's not so much just if you address or engage somebody, it's how. Like a young boy runs onto the bus, or they're fighting on the bus, or what are they doing? Cursing, talking, going crazy loud, jumping up and down. The crazy things. I was one of them kids too sometimes. I ain't gonna lie. But the idea is like, instead of going like, hey, you're dumb, or hey, you're being bad, and accusing them, sometimes you just walk up, sit behind them, tap them, start a conversation, a casual conversation. Some young bulls will be real disrespectful with it, but some, how you come at them in their jargon, in their way, they're cool with that. Then while you're talking to them, you figure out a little bit about them. It's a long bus ride sometimes, but it's how we address people. Human beings, this will not work for every person, but this will work. I would guarantee it work for a majority of people, young boys. It's like, it's how you address them. It's not that you address them. The problem is that even some of the questions we ask are loaded. It's like we think by too many of us think by ideals and think by would-be's and not is like reality. Like there's an ideal way things are supposed to play out, an ideal society. We keep moving like we live in some kind of ideal world. We don't. We got to approach everything conditionally and listen. And old folks always say, not all old people, I ain't gonna stereotype them. Like back in my day, we used to bust a kid on the bus if they was talking.
All right, no cursing though.
That's a curse word.
I don't know. It's iffy. Is it? What is?
We used to bust a kid's butt.
I don't know.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna act like it is.
Boss man.
I'm act like it's not. I'm act like it's a cuss word. All right. So like older folk, and I appreciate. It wasn't true across the board in every black neighborhood, but it was common where it's like you could not just be on the block doing anything because the old ladies would come out and beat you down.
It wasn't allowed. It's what's being.
So we let the pot boil over. It's time that our generation turn the fire off and let it simmer down. We scared to though. We think it can't happen because it got over some point that we never set. There's no point.
People scared of dying, like you said, it's dangerous and stuff like that. So
it's just how you go about it.
You got people with assault rifles shooting up the bus, huh?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah, ain't nobody saying nothing to that guy. Yeah, but that's just.
I wouldn't say that.
That came from somebody saying something to somebody, and she called them bulls.
And that's the thing. They don't even want you, like, just okay. You see how that went wrong, because he's like, oh, don't hit your son like that or this and that. Like, imagine if she found out if you talking to her son on the block or something like that. It's really going down. So, like, it is hard to get through to like some people. I know. Like you said,
it might be easy hard though. It could be.
It's all about. We gotta take ourselves off of the ideal way to do stuff and look at stuff how it is. We trapped in ideals. Like I'll give you an example. If that guy he ran up on the bus and sat down with the AK in his lap. This is a wild scenario. He sat down with the AK on his lap.
Somebody got on the subway.
I'm not going to talk to that guy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to prevent other young bulls from growing up like that. All these white or black, whatever else, anywhere in the country. All these shootings that are happening, they're extremely rare compared to the shootings that are not happening and could be happening if it wasn't for people who were raising their kids right. So so we had Sandy Hook shooting and a guy shot up somebody on the bus. So it felt. Even if it was 500 murders in Philadelphia every year, it ain't that high. I don't think it's that high. I ain't checking.
No.
Even if it was, even if it was like, okay, it is 300. Yeah. So say it's about 300 murders in the city every year, right? We got like a million people in the city. That's ridiculously minuscule amount. Think of where it could be, and it's not. Think of where it could be if we actually. It's a lot of kids who would love to do that stuff because they feel really left behind by society, not just their parents. not just their family, not their teachers, the society. We don't say hi to them on the street.
But even though that still is high though, like
it's high compared to something else, but it's not high compared to the population.
Right.
I'm not belittling it. I'm saying that I'm saying that it could be higher if we get more neglect. It could be lower if we had more attention. You'd be surprised how many kids would not go to school and shoot things up if one person showed them love.
What's the problem? Why are we killing each other?
We are cold, callous, violent. Here's a prime example. We're a cold, callous, violent society that pretends it's a utopian, money-filled, golden street happy land. We're at war in a bunch of countries right now, which affects us here culturally. No one talks about it. We're at war right now in multiple countries. People are dying by the hundreds of thousands, but no one talks about that. People pretend
don't even mention them drone strikes. That's creating even more enemies.
Yeah, people. I'll say people, right? I'm part of people because I'm doing this too. Sadly enough, I'm trying not to, but while we're at war, there's a direct connection between the rise in violence and angst and the terror in the heart of people here on the streets here with the war our country's waging overseas. But it ain't just the war. It's many factors. It's the war, the poverty war, the crackdown on Medicare, Medicaid. All these things are happening. But the man on the street knows about it, but is afraid to engage it. He don't want to be the sore thumb. We are the man on the street. When we say one would, that's I would. When we say a person would, that's I would. Like we have to face this. Me, you, him, everybody listening.
I get it on Facebook all the time, man. When I face those but I don't mind being that sore thumb. I don't mind being that sore thumb.
You have to be. If you don't, then if you walking downtown 2 a.m. from a club, young boy stick you up, blow a hole through you. That was, I ain't gonna say your fault, but if you weren't doing anything to any other young boy to like mentor them, it's partly your fault.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah. Let's switch it up real quick because we limited on time now.
Okay, cool.
I wanna take a quick history lesson. Like, let's try to figure out where the line in the sand was drew from a time where a people was fighting for rights and liberty to where we at now, where they just killing each other and living recklessly. Where is it that, like, where did the household and the community lose touch? How did we go from wearing suits to wearing tight, skinny, hanging down to your knees pants? Where did we go from opening the door for women to calling them B's and H's all the time?
When you say we, do you mean we at large America or the black community? I'm okay with talking about either category. The black.
In this case, I'm talking about the African American.
Okay, this is actually a subject that is always made to seem more complex than it is. When it is complex. I'm not going to belittle the respect to it and make it not complex. But all right, now let me be real clear about this because what I'm going to say next. It's going to start.
It might be it might ruffle a feather or two.
Yeah, if people out there listening don't listen to the entire thing with your entire mind and not just pieces of it. No selective hearing out there, people. You listening? Thank you.
I'm with you.
Okay, so when integration happened, black people, that was the worst thing that ever happened to black people. I'm not saying I'm anti-integration. I've
heard that before.
I'm a vertical integrationist and I'm a pro-separatist. It's a difference.
I'm about to leave.
I'm saying, look. Let me go.
That boy don't start explaining what he's talking about.
I'm about to because I keep getting into these same conversations because I do a lot of pro-black community activities. So people are like, what do you mean when you say? Okay, I'm going to explain this very, very easily. So before integration, the black community had its own. It was the wealthiest it's ever been. Oh, not ever been. It's the wealthiest in America. It's the wealthiest it's been in the 1900s until
very productive
segregation ended. Yeah, we had our own stores, our own businesses, our own business networks, our own politicians, our own. We still have a bunch of this stuff. We were a community. Okay, so Claude, take it back.
From 1865 to 1965, we was doing it pretty big.
Yeah, right. Dr. Claude Anderson, right? I love this guy. He wrote Powernomics. He said, a community is not a neighborhood. A neighborhood is where you lay your head, where you live, your residential. A community is a place where you store your wealth, where you educate your people based upon your own culture, where you feel safe, where you police yourself.
Very true.
Where basically it's a place where you see co means together, mune means to move. When you move together as one, communal. It's also the root of communism, but I'm not saying to be a communist because we have communities in a capitalist country, see? Right. So people get all this mixed up. He's a socialist, he's a communist, he's racist. No. But racism.
You're not losing me, so just
I know I watched your post. I know I ain't losing microphone criminal. So just another definition, racism. is not. This is also from Dr. Claude Anderson, who's a person who takes a lot of views that I've already seen in my life and recently got a chance to put together. Racism, he says, it's not bigotry, it's not prejudice, it's not bias. These are results of racism. Racism is the competition between ethnic groups to become the dominant culture through education, through economics, whatever else. That's all it is. Jews compete against Indians, compete against Chinese. Blacks have been disenfranchised of the tools for competition in racism. Look at the root word. Till 1620, it did not mean bigotry. They keep changing the word to confuse us. But until integration, black folk had everything. Not everything. We had a lot better. We were a lot better off in togetherness. And then our idea, or actually an idea, was to vertically integrate into society like the Chinese, Indians, and everyone else does. Right. Which is fine. I'm not complaining at all what they're doing. They're doing what anybody would do if they had the ability to do it. Right. But black folk are being systematically disenfranchised from doing this. There are some blacks who sadly enough don't recognize the root of this enough to actually agree. They go, oh no, we just lazy. No. Even the ones who try to get up there, they get knocked off. Try to start a black business network. Watch you end up dead. Try to run for president in a non-Barack Obama style way. You'll be dead. Try to start a coalition that actually helps black people and gets them money, funds, and what they call ethno-aggregation, which means coming together or pulling your resources together around your race. You'll be dead. So the idea is like, black people, integration was the problem. It was done wrong. Not that it was done wrong. We got the symbolic victories sitting on the front of the bus, eating at lunch counters. They took all our substantive stuff away. No substance, no job unions. We can't own the bus company. We can't own the bus. We can sit on the front of the bus now. This is a problem.
All right. You got me you got me half and half now. You know what I mean? So I'm with you on a lot of what you said.
How we got the skinny jeans? Because when you do not ethno-aggregate your media, culture, and education around your own culture,
I'm with you on that. I'm 100% with you on that. Now, see, this. Let me see. Do I even got enough time? All right, look, it's like this.
I can talk real fast.
Here's my feelings like
People
this.
People know this.
I'm with you on all that. Like, you know, it's very important. Like that whole with the actual with commune and all that. Yeah. I'm with you on that whole concept. And I see how that translates into what's going on now and how the African Americans, if you will, is losing that edge on racism as you broke it down, the competition against racists. But the thing that I don't like to tread on is saying that the white man or the other race, if you will, is stronger than a particular race when you do have the ultimate power to change what's going on.
Yeah, we do.
By reuniting.
But what do you call it if we can't stick together? Because
that's that community thing. Though.
Terminology is okay. Look,
the terminology,
psychology, etymology, using words like we cannot actually, by the power of will, makes you not do stuff. We got to say we haven't. Now we cannot. We haven't. We won't. But we are working.
We haven't been.
We will. But
we haven't been working together. Well, but that's the community thing. I can't say that's the other race preventing you from being able to do it. Now, don't get me wrong.
It is both factors. I feel you. We are being held down by something, and at the same time, we're also us.
Do you not think?
Yeah, us. Remember, we do. We are. Our culture is our culture overall. Our mainstream culture, right? It's not our culture. It's a culture fed to us by people who want to control us and make sure we do not come together. Other races do not get this.
How can we say? Can we say that want to control the world? I don't want to say
want to do control the world
because I don't want to say control us as if once again it's just somebody who's stronger than you, holding you down, and you can't do anything about it, even though you can acknowledge that they're doing it. Yeah. So it's people who obviously want to control the whole world or who do control the whole world. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just saying I like science. It's not all right. Anybody who listen, I don't care what race you are. This is a fact. Right. It's not white people versus the world. It's a select group of white people versus the world, including the rest of the white people. This is why you got there are people who are privileged in society. There's a general white privilege in society, but this is the reason why they're whites who are poor. There's a very select group of people. When you say whites, are you just saying? Do you mean Europeans? Or do you mean whites are status. White now includes many Hispanics. All right, I was just making sure. I'm with you. But of this group, I got you. Of this group, let's put it like this. I don't know what the numbers are. Let's just give a small but big enough number. Let's say 10% of ethnically Caucasian Europeans
10% of them, or even 1%, whatever it is, whatever the small number is, they're the ones who control the power. Just like the entirety of the world is 99% and 1% controls the power. Right. And of that 1%, like 90% are European white. It isn't like all whites are in a war against blacks or with all.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I have a
It's kind of like how you said with the whole crime thing. Like that number is very small compared to the population.
Yeah. I mean, I got an ongoing belief. If not, I hope it feels like a knowledge that if things went down into like let's say a quote unquote race war or something like that was like black on white, there are millions of whites who
say that all the time.
They're like screw Uncle Phil and his his Aryan Nation and KKK. Yeah. I'm going with Brother Raheem over here.
I say that all the time.
Occupy. I mean, Occupy may not be the best example, but it's plenty of folks who I was down there a bunch of times with people. Plenty of folks down there who be like race. I like black people. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up this AK and help y'all out because I never liked this cracker stuff they doing over here anyway. You know, it's not a curse word.
No.
Whip cracker, a white person who is a power monger. Thank you. Okay.
A whip cracker, you said?
A whip cracker comes from whip cracker.
Yeah.
A white person who's a power monger. If you want to say the word, say the whole thing. You can say whip cracker anywhere, by the way. That's not a curse word.
No, I know. You cool.
No, I'm instructing people so they can go and say it. Yeah. Feel free. Yeah.
Feel free to say whip cracker.
If a person is cracking down to you race-wise, then they white. They whip cracker.
So do we want to take? You got anything before we take a breath?
Oh man, that was some good stuff though. All right. That's some good stuff.
We're gonna take a breath real quick. We're gonna get into Black Star
Dorian Preston
with Brown Skin Lady. Yeah. And we're back.
Yeah.
Next level show.
What's up?
I mean, we got everybody in the building. We're gonna let Cassmeir ask a question real quick.
Do you think? Do you think we as black people actually have a culture? Because the way it's painted, that I see that hip hop is all our culture. And the way hip hop is now, that's broadcasted to the world, is a lot of straight ignorance. Does that depict us, or do you think that's meant to depict us, or do we have a real culture?
I'll put it like this: as with any, it's a funny thing because we're oftentimes racist to ourselves. I put it like this: even folks who are trying to be progressive and secure black people under a culture that's positive. Mm-hmm. The word culture amongst blacks, especially used between progressive blacks, they oftentimes want to homogenize the entire state of blackness under one positive culture, when culture is anything that's lived and shared between a group of people that they take almost subconsciously, whether that's good or bad. Gang culture is called gang culture for a reason. Right. Like, it's not nothing you want to be proud of and talk to your grandma about on her deathbed, but it's something that you doing. So like we have many cultures. We have a grand culture because we all agree. No, we don't all agree, but we have a grand culture because we all are under African Americanism or blackness, but we are all not agreed on what that means. But we will write that down on a census sheet. Unless you are more, then that's still another African American culture, American African. If you want to switch the words up, so we do have a culture. The thing about it is that we don't have a culture that provides the majority or the mass of us with the means of storing our wealth, educating our people through our own culture. We don't have a communal culture. Overall, there's a bunch of black communal culture. I'm part of a few of them, but the idea is that we don't have a known overall thing like Jews, Indians, and Chinese have. Where you just know Chinese, you don't have no argument about if they got a culture. Like, they start a store, they hire only. This is fine though. I'm not arguing about this. Yeah. They start a store, they hire only Chinese. They sell Chinese cultural foods more or less. They
but they don't eat that stuff they sell us though.
Well, the guys the poor guys who work in the store do eat that food. I mean, I know tons of people in Chinese stores. People who it depends on what you're talking about because like. Overall, they have one of the best structures to. We need to be admiring and mimicking what they're doing. Not knocking them down because if Chinese had gotten enslaved and we were still in Africa and then came here like the Chinese did, we'd be doing the same damn thing because racism is a competition between ethnic groups. They're competing with us. We don't have the tools to compete because we want to agree what racism really is. Black people argue more about what stuff is than they're actually doing anything. So, like, I
said black people own racism because
we're trained to do this. By the way, I'm not blaming black people fully.
Okay,
it's a culture. Yeah.
All right. Well, exclusivity. That may be true, but the thing is, like, I like to use as an example how if you watch a comedy show. Oh yeah, I know you got to say something real quick. But how you watch a comedy show and you see the black comic, he can go up there and he could talk trash about any race. He can come at the white man, talk about how he do whatever he do. He can come at anybody.
It's a reason for that.
but the white man can't get up and come at the black man because then it's gonna be an uproar. But that's because, like, I think that's what you were saying about how the black people are more worried about defining it or agreeing on it.
The poison of overall black mainstream culture is we're poisoned by political correctness. We are a victim of something we think is helping us. So black folk. A black comic can go on stage at any show and talk down about whitey, about any race. That's a symbolic gesture. It has no substantive effect on the economics or the culture of the other person. Right. But when we actually start doing stuff like using our dollars to insult other cultures, to actually compete, then we get shut down. Black people are addicted to symbolic black culture. Sorry, not black people. Black culture, black mainstream culture. Because it ain't everybody. Black mainstream culture is purposefully addicted from the outside by other people who addict us onto symbolic moves, not substantive moves. Like I said, we can now sit on the front of the bus, but we cannot really run the bus company without there being an uproar or a controversy.
All right, real quick, before I let you say what you got to say to close off, I will say, okay. Let's just say that what you saying is 100% true. Let's just say it. I'm not willing to say it right now.
I got
but
some books to shout out. I do.
What's that now?
I got some books to shout out. But go on. Yeah.
But
gotta read.
Yeah, let's just say that it is being influenced. The point is, it isn't another race's job to educate or instruct the black mainstream culture, as you call them, on what to look out for or whatever. Yeah. So that's the whole thing. So I can't take that as an excuse of, well, it's being fed to us because let's just say that if it's a competition, then that might even be expected. Not saying it's right because it's not, but I actually agree. So, and it's not their job to educate you. So I can't let that be an excuse as to why you're not educated.
Not an excuse. And I'm big on conditionality and mutual exclusivity. All that means is that exactly what you're saying. I fully agree. Exactly what you're saying. Right. I fully agree. I fully agree that it is no other. Here, let's take it back from race real fast. Real quick comment. Then we'll go into that. Black folk have been so brain fandangled and finangled or whatever. We believe that it's wrong to discuss things on race-based terms because we supposedly fought so hard in the civil rights movement to get out of race-based terms. We symbolically got out of race-based terms and let them write laws and institutions and make societal norms that are completely race-based. How can it be affirmative action or even a Black History Museum or anything that has any ethnicity's name before it in a post-racial world? Wouldn't it just be Human History Museum? So, like, I understand it's not. I mean, I understand how we have history here that's specifically black, but the way in which things are carried out are completely and totally biased and race based. Like,
all right,
my
bad. You gotta go ahead and get into your closing statement. We gotta do this. We're gonna do this again.
I gotta come back on here.
Yeah, no doubt. Go ahead and let us know what you want to.
This is just S Frosty here. Want to talk to you folks out there in the world about a couple of things. Thanks to the Next Level Show for having me on here. Shout out to Dorian Preston for texting me about the interesting information. I see you, Dorian. Okay. The Meta is a creative homely gatherings. The Meta happens every final Sunday. This is a place where we do stuff just like this. We have these conversations. We bring folks together just to generally meet and actually see other people and have diverse ideas. Every final Sunday. So just go to
Facebook. You said the Meta?
The Meta, META. Facebook.com/MetaPhilly. It's easy to find. Facebook.com/SFrosty. I want to shout out the Think Tank, which is a meeting we're having, a grand meeting of community organizers where people like myself and yourselves who are constantly asking these questions, not just asking the questions, we're doing stuff in the community to fix this stuff. And I just wanted to shout out Selah, SCLA, the Selah Hip Hop Collective I manage, not just because they're dope music you should listen to, but because each person in the collective is a teaching artist. They practice a lot of things we talked about today and in and outside the black community to teach youth music, to teach them self-love, teach them empowerment. So check out Selah, SELAHiphop.bandcamp.com. Check out Facebook.com/MetaPhilly. And if you want to find all this stuff, come on. Facebook.com/SFrosty. You can find me. I'll be online in an hour when I get back in the crib. So say hello. Say hello. Come on. Say hello.
I mean,
SFrosty215 on Twitter. Just say hi.
No doubt, man. Yeah, I appreciate having you on, man. Hey, Cassmeir, you throw your websites and whatnot out.
Yeah. Just hit me up on SoundCloud.com. I got a couple joints, it's old joints, but I will have some new up there soon. And definitely check out the vlogs; they're coming. The last one I put up was about the STM Awards, and that's YouTube.com/215vlog with a V. All right.
That's what's up. And like I said, man, I appreciate having both y'all guys on, man. It's been a fantastic, fantastic
great
show.
interview.
It was interesting, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Classic. And y'all can catch it. We'll have this thing up. We're doing MCTV Mondays, so it'll be up next Monday. YouTube.com/microphone criminal. And y'all already know where to get at me. Facebook.com/microphone criminal. And you'll be able to keep in touch with me. I'm also on Twitter @Mike Criminal. So once again, I just want to shout these guys out. I want to shout out everybody who's tuned in and everybody who couldn't tune in but wanted to. Catch y'all next week on the Next Level Show.